Okay. So just remembering just every now and then to take a few sips of water. Make sure you stay topped up as it were. And to begin with, just sitting, just thinking about this posture before we do anything else, because remembering that the postures that we take in Tai Chi open up the body a little, or encourage the opening of the body, that sense of releasing or letting go. Actually helps to sort of circulate and disperse the heat that seems to get kind of penned in. So just sitting, you can be sort of forward in the chair if you wish. Make it a little bit forwards, feeling supported by your feet and the hips, so slightly angled forwards. Feeling the front of your body drop down slightly, supported by your back. And that should help you just to get a sense of breathing a little bit more freely, a little bit more easily, without the same kind of tightness in the chest and belly. Shoulders drop. And just allowing your thoughts to settle. We can get, we use the term hot and bothered, don't we? So it's like we can't quite think. Actually lends itself well to moving in this sort of weather. So just rubbing your hands together and tapping lightly over your face, keeping your jaw a little bit loose. And then over your head and neck. Down one shoulder, your arm. The side. Upper part of your chest. You're looking for a sort of hollow quality sound and feel of your chest. And again, we can feel a little bit congested sometimes in the hotter weather. So this is a useful one to remember. Down to your belly. And the legs. So in this sitting position, with that feeling of support, just very gently, without straining, raise your shoulders up a bit, push your shoulders up, and then slowly lowering down. Focusing first of all on that feeling of the lowering, how that feels in muscles and tendons. So focusing on the feeling that we variously label as releasing, softening, letting go. They're all aspects of the Chinese term Sun. Get the sort of inward, downward, trapped in feeling. Leaving behind a sort of space as the tightness just dissolves away for a few minutes. Then we want to try and think in terms of applying the same quality when we push up, so that Sun becomes less of a kind of thing that we associate with a downward, inward movement. More something that infuses the flavor that infuses everything we try to do in Tai Chi. So it's good to practice this in the chair, because you have the support of the chair to enable you to do that. And doing the same thing in the center of your body, so belly, hips, lower back. Again, very gently just pulling in and noticing quite a distinct sense of dropping down as you release. And it's this dropping down feeling that releasing leads us to, that we describe as rooting down. We want to release in lower back, hips, thighs, knees. But it doesn't inherently mean that the knees have to bend a great deal. It's a very internal feeling. And once again, trying to not tighten up, not grip as we pull in and push up. So we start to get a hint of a different way of moving, and often summarized in the use of the image of moving through water. There's a strong crossover. So applying this to the movements, just going through the various parts of the body, turning your head a little. Just recognize that when it is very warm, at the moment, that sort of closeness, mugginess almost. One of the things that will happen in our body is that muscles, tendons, ligaments, and of course the joints, the synovial fluid in joints, will have a tendency to expand, and that's going to restrict movement. But again, Tai Chi postures, and when we start to apply some, actually encourage up a little bit of space. But even so, you shouldn't necessarily have the expectation that you're going to be able to move as freely as you might do at other times. Hands in front of your shoulders, circling your elbows around. Another way that we spread the effort, if you like, or in a sense, change the effort that we need to move with, is by recognizing that when we, for instance, do this movement, it's not simply about what's happening in our arms and our shoulders. A bit of expansion in the sides of the body as your elbows go up, a contraction, an expansion opening to the sides in the chest and your upper back. Going forwards. So it's useful to practice on these subtle changes within our body. As we become more aware of them, we can bring a more intentional quality to them and begin to build the movements up from the inside out. Hands coming down, rotating them. And again, you may notice there's subtle extension and contraction, opening and closing in the chest, like that. And then raising your arms, rotating through the whole of the length of your arm, finishing with your wrists and the fingers. So again, giving time for the joints in particular to begin to loosen up. And then back down. So tilting your pelvis forwards and hands will go forwards, shoulders will go forwards. Gently push down with your feet. Also, sense of pulling back from the hips. Try to notice whether you're habitually tightening up in, say, your shoulders or your neck to come upright. And again, applying that releasing quality. You imagine the muscles releasing in the same way as when you were dropping the shoulders down. So again, the effort required to come upright is different to how we would normally regard it, if we regard it at all. It involves our feet, involves our hips dropping back, the elasticity develops in our back and our spine and so on. Turn just a little bit to towards one knee. Feeling your weight flow through that leg down into your foot. And then in the other direction. And that the other way. Come back. Extend one foot, put your heel down, lower the board of your foot, gently press, plant into the ground. So measuring your step so that you can just apply that little bit of pressure, feeling the contact with the sole of your foot to the floor. And once having done that, tilt forward so your weight goes in. So when we apply that planting movement, we release to our knee, to our ankle, and that creates space for the weight to flow in. And then on the other side, first of all, without moving the weight in, so to work out where to put the foot and get this releasing feeling downwards as we press into the floor. Then having done that, feeling that there's space within the leg for that movement forwards and downwards. Do this alternating from side to side. What this is really doing is pointing us at something that we do all the time. Every time you sort of walk across the room, you have to, your foot gets placed, your weight transfers. And although we wouldn't normally do it this kind of precisely and this slowly, this can lead to some interesting insights into that whole process. So, turn your body and check. When we move from one foot to another, our weight will shift just a little. So there's a weight transfer forwards and backwards, but also in the chair from side to side. One more time. Come back to hands to your sides. So turning the hand palm forwards again. Begin the movement of your weight and then start to rotate. Third folds it. So that weight transfer in combination with the rooting down and the extension up from that is really the principal dynamic energy that moves us when we're doing Tai Chi. I sometimes compare weight transfer Tai Chi to pedaling on a bicycle. You don't push the pedals down, bike's up and going. And again, this is reflected in our daily lives, that we're constantly moving. You're in the kitchen, you reach out for something, you take a step, and you move in that direction. Change into the fisherman castanet, leaving your hands facing backwards, and then drop down your arms, swing through, and then in Tai Chi, that the flow of the movement, which is so characteristic, very dependent on the weight movement. So that reduces the amount of effort we need to put into moving our arms. There's a momentum and energy there begins to flow through our upper body. And some too, releasing feeling, helping us to just dissolve away the barriers to. Once again, a lot of these ideas can be encapsulated in the image of movement. Qi Liang once described Tai Chi itself as swimming on dry land. And then hands out in front and touching the ball in front of you, just pulling back, pulling the ball in. So rather than thinking in terms of having to lift your arms, which is quite a difficult thing, quite a strong thing to do, it's a pull on your arms as though they were draped over the ball. Maybe with a slight push up as you come back, feeling that rise in movement, rise in energy from your feet and your legs up through your belly, chest. Start turning your hands palm in. As you come back and your body expands, just push your elbows out and draw your hands out to the front. And then it's called pigeon spreads its wings. And again, as we come back, it's nice opening in the front of your body. And a gentle contraction. That opening and closing, opening and contracting. Mirrored in your back. One more time. And with a very similar feeling in chest and upper back, but a bit more compact in its expression. Hands staying in front of your hips, elbows going out a little bit, and then pushing away. In this movement, there's a very natural curve up. I'll show you just with one hand. My elbow goes out, but as I go forwards, the elbow comes in and seems to be pushed forwards. And the shape of the arm ensures that as my arm gets pushed away from my body, it's going to curve up. I would have to put distinct effort into keeping my hand down to stop that happening. We actually do that in the next movement, but we're not doing it in this movement. But try not to get into the habit of lifting your arm. Now sit back, turn towards one foot, take the step that we did before, planting the foot, and then coming back, putting that foot in, turning. Notice whether there's an impulse to move your arms before your foot is in place. This is very common. So what we're trying to do is to establish what in some ways will be a very logical series of events whenever we move, which is to start with our feet. But so often our attention is fixed in the upper part of the body, but we can miss that. It's like those times when you're in the kitchen and you reach out to get something, and rather than taking a step, you just lean out a little bit further. Sometimes you might even stumble doing that or strain something. It's almost like our feet get glued to the floor. One more time. Coming back and facing the front. Roll your fingers into a hollow fist. This time your hands do stay at the same level, so the angle of your elbow really opens out. You don't completely straighten. But whereas with pushing away, we were keeping the elbow bent and that directed the hand upward. This time as we go forward and rotate the hand, the elbow gets a little bit straighter, just a slight bend at the end. This ensures that our fists stay at the same level. Slightly above the lips. More time when you get forwards, just open up the fingers. Open your chest, wind your fingers back in, drop the wrist down once again. When you come back, turn your hands palm down, turn a little bit. And the hips dropping back, but you tilt forwards, lengthening through your back and your spine, your arms and your fingers, swinging around. Then on the other side, in the other direction, polishing the table. One more time. Just let your hands drop down for a few moments. Shoulders dropping. As you do this, because your shoulders drop, the more aware of the spine, your rib cage, and how the skeleton has the capacity to support you from within. Again, this leads to you being able to release a little bit more tightness. You have the confidence developing to do that. And a slow, gentle breath. Then turn your hands palm up. Gentle press down through your feet and your hips, remembering that quality of sun. A wave coming up through your body. Pushing your hands up and then gently pressing it out. So you're cradling the ball, pushing the ball up from your feet. And then so you're pressing the ball down. So that image of moving through water definitely encourages this flowing, releasing quality, the softer quality. Yet at one and the same time, it actually begins to condition this in a very particular way. Because we're using the body differently, we're tending to use more of the body. And this begins to lead us to that quality of inner strength. You can see. One more time. A little bit trickier. You go into the wild goose because your hands are going away from your body. Still, it's possible to bring a sense of intention to release shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, joints of your hands. Moving forwards, so your hands can drop in front of your knees. Rolling back into the chair, sinking down and pushing up. Elbows drawing your fingers around in a nice smooth circle. Heart in the cloud. This is a good example of when I was talking about engaging more of the body. Our normal way of lifting our arms, strain a little bit in arms and shoulders. Again, I can only do this one, but watch what I do here. I break it down. I go forward, and my hands can pass in front of my knees. I go back into the chair. I sort of drop down, as in rooting down, and then as I push up, my elbow gets raised and pushed out, and then it drops down and brings my hand around. And watching again, pushing up, expanding through the body. Direct movement back down. Doing that with both hands at once. We're developing ways of moving. They're much kinder to the body. More stable, less likelihood of straining particular parts of the body. And then it's the use of the whole body, so the elements really of body, mind, and energy. Also very strongly. The body will start to be conditioned, not just in the muscles of the body, of tendons, ligaments, skeletal muscle, maybe even the bones as well. One more time. Letting your hands drop down, this time focusing on one side, expanding the expansion again, pushing your elbow out. Going into the exercise, dragon plucks the stars. And then same thing on the other side. Observing, working with details of movement, posture, as a way of just slowing your thoughts down, giving them a chance to settle a little bit. And if you're finding that difficult, then just recognize more detail, expanding, contracting on one side. But before you rush over to the other side, bring attention back to the center of your body, that feeling of the hips in the chair. Then, the other side. Noticing tendency you may have to rush one side to another. And bringing your hands to a point where you can just lightly touch the side of your hips, the inside of your arm or your hand. And then pushing up, palms of your hands, press up towards the ceiling. And pushing out. So again, we could apply that image of moving through water. Or an alternative image for this one could be, particularly with the sideways movement, just imagining you've got an elastic band connecting the two, and you're just letting the elastic band extend and slowly. And one of the interesting things about that as an image is that we're looking for that same quality, that same tone in the soft tissue of our body as we would find in the elastic band. So, skin and fascia, tendons and ligaments. Somehow all part of the movement and little patterns of extension, contraction. One more round. This time as you push out, turning just a little bit in center of your body, redirecting your arms. Turn the other way. Back to the front. And then pushing out. One more round. Over time, pushing out to the side. So extending one foot, just planting your heel, scooping the seat, coming back to the upright. Hips drop back, so that lengthening through your spine as your body comes upright. Drawing your arms over, chest expanding here, and then tract it slightly. And push your hands up. Changing over. Another foot forwards. Again, notice that slight turn and transferring your weight. It's important when we do transfer the weight to do so accurately, having a sense of where we want the weight to go. And this time, again, rolling your fingers into a loose fist. Almost the opposite movement. We go forwards, but the stretcher is upwards. So lengthening through your back and your spine. Notice that my hands, if they're open, would be palms forwards. I go forwards, bringing my hands around, contracting in my chest. Just letting that upward movement draw my hands up, grasping the tongue. One more time. Change sides, same. The other sides, grasping the tongues. Quite a sort of bold qualities and stuff. One more. And then once again, come back to its original posture and rest from it. One thing that we may notice is that having done some movements, this posture feels a little different. That may be because there's been a physical change and or a change in our awareness, a change in our perspective. By the way, just going back, reminding yourself that you don't need to be tight anywhere in your body just to remain upright. And then, once again, rubbing your hands together and tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. One shoulder, arm. The other side. Up and back. Belly. Pushing your heels. Get a bit of circulation back into your legs. Before we try and stand on them. Circling. And then rest. So coming to standing and just recognize when it is hot like this, the whole system's a bit more sluggish. So a bit of extra care when you come to standing. Don't try to leap up. Just come forwards in your chair, push yourself up. Maybe time to take a few sips of water. If you haven't done so already. So we want to try and repeat that process of releasing. I'm going to move my chair out of the way, but in the first part of this, you might want to have the chair there so you can support yourself. We're going to do the same thing that we did before around the center part of the body. I'll come closer so you can see. Do this very gently. You'll pull your belly in, tighten across your back, and then slowly release. And just noticing the effect that has all the way through your body, your back and your shoulders. But in particular, if you can just see how my knees soften and curve a little bit. I said in the chair, this is the prelude to rooting down, because when we release, gravity pulls down more strongly through our body and our center of gravity begins to drop. And eventually, we can just feel that movement and let the hips go down a little bit further, not straining in your knees, but then feeling yourself being pushed up, the body expanding and expanding and your hands around as though it's played in the ball. Just repeating this movement that we did in the chair. So your legs are the primary driver of this movement. It's giving time for getting the circulation to build in the legs, that springiness to develop. And then again, change into the wild goose. And then parting the clouds. One more time. Keep the width of your step. Transferring the weight once again. This time very much an action that we do regularly. Weight moving from one foot to another, from one leg to another. It's just a standard part of everyday moving around. So giving yourself time for a little bit of reflection on that. In particular, what you really want to feel is that your weight drops right down into your feet. You don't want to grip in muscles of your legs or your knees, your hips. As you go into your back foot, then raise your toes so you settle down more over one leg. And then raise your heel, settling down into the front leg. Gradually feeling more stable, more connected downwards through that leg. And then stepping in. Again, planting the foot. And with the other foot forwards. Just the quick step transfer, don't rush this. Then heels, toes coming up. Weight gradually settle in more strongly, more effectively in each leg. And step in. A few steps through, either forwards or backwards. Change direction. Have your right foot forward. Using the weight, move your body forwards and letting your arms swing through. Standing version. Pushing them cast and net. Notice how they just gently swing up as they swing past your hips. Bring forwards, and as you do, turn to your left. As your arms swing up, they're just redirected to the movement. Wind blows through it. Turn in the opposite way as you see. Expanding, contracting, expand. Okay. Then change over. So left foot forwards, starting with your weight in the back foot. Pushing and casting. Going forwards, turning into wind blows the willows. And then carefully combining this with step in, go forwards, push the back knee and bring the foot in, settle into that front leg, step out. You can do this going in either direction. And where you have been. And if it feels comfortable, you can bring the foot in and then raise gently. Step with it. And then change direction, So I bump into the camera. Um, Lovely. Go back to the chat. Once again, coming into that posture that is more supported, requires less, well, not less effort, but a different type of effort to simply be upright. One that doesn't involve straining, tightening, and reinforcing that with this final exercise. Embrace tiger, return to mountain. Push your arms out, let them swing up, coming around so they're going to hold a ball against your chest. Just releasing in your hips, your back, your shoulders. Doing that, drawing your hands inwards and downwards. And just settle. Again. Embrace tiger. Turn into them. One more time. And lovely, and open your eyes. Thank you very much, as always. So, trying to stay a little bit cool in the heat. Look after yourselves in this extreme heat. Thanks very much for coming in.